know how to turn them on. Probably ought to check and see the volume on it. How many mics you want on at a time? Okay. The other one would will that be during the whole meeting? So I just got 1, 2, 3.
Test 1 2, test 1 2, test 1 2 1 2 3. Test 1 2.
I'll sit there. I didn't think it was important. Good morning, guys. Thank you. You bet.
We're not wearing masks. Do you need my hotspot? Do you want my charger?
I have been too busy. Yeah. Not in. Oh. I'm answering your questions that are coming through the stream.
Oh,
I was like, are you still asking me? Sorry.
here. Wait. Oh.
Yeah, just under hills.
I need
What do you need?
the microphone tested by Chuck or someone again so I can tell if it's coming through the stream okay.
Check 1, 2.
There you go. He can do it. Do you need more than one?
I just need to know if it's coming through the stream at an appropriate level. All right, I'll let you know in a second. It's like 10 seconds behind because it's on a stream. Thank you. When it comes through eventually.
Hi.
Good to see you, Chad.
How are you doing?
Good. Hey.
Did you go on the sailing trip?
Yep.
She was just telling me about the cool stuff that we missed.
No, I can't imagine how fun it
Should
is.
be okay. Thanks. Should be all right.
Yeah.
Really is. Yeah.
Are you fully back yet, or are you still on island?
No, we're back. Yeah, we're back. So, we didn't have anything.
Well, that's the expensive guy, but we're fine.
That's right.
Was everything okay?
Eventually, yeah.
Nobody
Yeah.
died.
Nobody died. And no loss of limbs.
That's
So,
good.
yeah.
Everybody counted their fingers.
Everybody, yeah. And this time is actually, it's tradition that they try to kill.
I didn't have time to get a picture of that up. I've been fighting this thing, so bear with me.
A little jealous.
Hurt,
Yeah.
you know? So, yeah, it was a great trip.
All right. See if I can remember where a restroom is in one of these cookie cutter schools.
Right out there to your left.
Thank you.
And look at it, yeah. This one was last year.
Is it always after school? I think it's the first time. Sit down, have a time.
I ran home, shoved some food in my mouth.
Oh yeah, yep, I'm the same. Got some leftovers out of Tupperware.
That's what I did too.
Yeah, it was a good.
I actually, they were frozen, so I stick it in the microwave for 2 minutes. If I didn't do something, I come back and stick it in my bottle tonight. Stuff it in.
Always get in a pinch.
So my dad, he has had lots of health problems. He has cancer. That, and then I got had to get him some medicine. Hi.
Hi, did you get the car back?
Yeah.
I saw that loaner in there and I'm thinking, oh.
You know how it is. Like,
Sprinkle those.
hi, Doc. How are you? That's
Still at the hospital.
no, he's not in the hospital. He got out of the hospital Sunday, and he's slowly recovering. He has sepsis.
I said I'm going to pronounce it up a bit.
But
That's a lot.
So did you have to cart him around? You just swap when you go to the dealer and the dealer last night. I drove by there and I saw the door. I didn't convert it. And I saw it. I hope they get your car.
what's the business? Tuesday.
Who's the weather's good? Hey. All right. Keep an eye on it. Who has the money?
I did.
You got this. What are we doing on the list?
It's right up. Should be good if people click on the site right now. Do you have your phone? Here, we can double check. Yeah, goes right to it. Just press play.
different strut.
A little worried about the audio, but I'm working on it with the time I have left.
Well, they should leave some page and he was we're trying to get him maybe more.
I know it's hard to get that thing started, but I know once it kind of gets started,
We have fun with all of this.
This is a test? Yeah, thanks. Good evening. My name is Dave Gale. It's my honor to... Sorry? Is this on back there? Okay, I'm getting a little bit louder. Is this better? Probably right up to the chin? Okay. Paul, what did you just give me? We have to come over here. This is unrehearsed.
Good evening, everyone.
Paul, it's got to be right up like this.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Paul Hoffman. I'm the person you've been talking to on the ARC for way too many years. And to start off our meeting tonight, we thought it would be interesting to ask than 5 years. Okay, maybe 10%. How many of you have lived here between 10 and 20 years? It's a good group. And how many more than 20 years? Pretty evenly divided. Thank you. All right, second question. How many of you are attending your first annual meeting? Just a few, and that's good. Welcome. We hope you find it enjoyable, worthwhile.
They've obviously heard how good the cookies are.
And the door prizes. And finally, how many of you heard about the annual meeting through Facebook? Just a few. Email. Most of you. Good. Postcard. A little smaller number, or a neighbor or other sources. Okay. Thank you. This is useful for us because we have a new committee to communicate with all of our homeowners, and Dave will be talking about that, and we want to find a way to improve our ability to communicate with all of you. It's all yours, Dave.
Thanks. Thank you, Paul. That was helpful. We have an ongoing conversation of who amongst us are emailers, who are Facebookers, my wife, and so forth. And then, of course, the conventional postcard. It's my pleasure to introduce Officer Ronnie Dumet. We know that we have had occasions when there's been burglaries and break-ins and so forth, and Officer Dumet spoke to the board about a month ago and briefed us on what his message will be, and Ronnie's got 8 to 10 minutes.
Awesome, thank you. Can everybody hear me? I could probably talk without this, but we'll use it. My name is Ronnie Dumet. I'm an officer with the Lee Summit Police Department. I work in our Community Interaction Unit. But first and foremost, on behalf of my family, if you're a veteran, if you're a family of a veteran, thank you. Thank you for my wife. Thank you for my kids. Thank you for me. Thank you for the safety and security you have provided with your service. And that goes to the spouses and the kids. I know it takes a family to secure this great country of ours. So I won't embarrass anybody. I won't ask anyone to stand up, but you're a veteran. I want you to know that I appreciate you and we're very thankful for you. Yeah, absolutely. I've been with the Lee Summit Police Department for 20 years, actually, October 22nd, which is hard to believe. Had a vast of things that I did. Everything that I wanted to do, I did, except for run a dog. I thought that'd be fun. From SWAT to investigations. But later in my career, about a year and a half ago, I really got into working and enjoying my work in the community. Not just Lee Summit, but the Metro. A position came available in our Community Interaction Unit, and here I am. So the beautiful thing about that is I get to work in a community that cares about its safety and security. A lot of police departments don't have that community interaction that we get to have with our community. So bravo to you for inviting us. I mean, that's incredible. It's huge. There's some speaking points that we're going to talk about, how we can keep our community safe, how we can better protect our own property. And I have created this little flyer here. It's Home Security 101. You guys will get it electronically via email. I believe you're going to put it on your Facebook page and maybe on your website. But it's good. It's almost like a good checklist as well. I start off by saying the best defense against crime is you. Personal responsibility. Make sure your house is secure. Make sure you have lighting on. Make sure we have locked doors, and if we're having vehicles in the driveway, we need them secure. If you're going to have to leave your car in the driveway, which is fine, I do as well, just make sure your personal items aren't sitting in the vehicle out in plain open. The number one burglary entry method is an open garage door. It happens daily. It happens nightly. If your garage door is open at 3 a.m., you're going to get a knock from one of our guys or gals. Sometimes people are frustrated by that because we woke them up, which always surprises us, but it's only to keep you safe. I can tell you this from working in investigations for almost 14 years, the criminal element, they communicate. If they know that there's a neighborhood in Lee Summit that leaves cars in the driveway unlocked because they have this idea that no one ever comes and there's no crime in this great utopia that we have, which we have one of the lowest crime ratings in the country, we're mistaken. they communicate, they talk, and they hit those areas and those neighborhoods, their organization. They got nothing else better to do than to sit around and prey on all of us that work our tails off every single day. So make sure your lights are on at night. Technology is our friend. They have dusk till dawn lights now, and they're fantastic. I got them all over my house. A good rule of thumb: if you have an exterior door, put a light above it. When the sun goes down, your light comes on. When the sun comes up in the morning, the light goes off. You just got to make sure the switch is on. It's beautiful. Sometimes you got to make sure that the bulbs don't burn out, and then you got to replace them, right? But it takes the thinking out of it. Light makes the rat scurry, right? They don't want illumination. They want to hit the house that is completely blacked out with bushes overgrown and places to hide and come in and victimize you. So as a whole, as a community, you guys are obviously involved because you're here. We can prevent that at every single street you drive down. If the lights are on and the cars in the driveway are locked, man, they're going to push off to the next neighborhood. Hopefully, they're going to push off to the next community. That's what we want. In my neighborhood, we have a Facebook page, like I'm sure you guys have as well. And a lot of folks post, "Oh, we got our car broken into last night," and then they post the video. Yes, they got into their vehicle, but their car was unlocked. And I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but man, I can't tell you guys enough. They do not want to break windows because it causes brings a lot of attention. We have cameras on the exterior of our homes. We just had a homicide last week, and the camera footage from the surrounding businesses in the neighborhood is going to help us put those guys behind bars. I'm telling you. It's good for the community. It's good for keeping your house safe. They will push off to the next one if they drive down the street and the entire street is lit up. And let me tell you, they do surveillance. Just like I did surveillance for many years, they do surveillance of the neighborhoods they want to hit. They got nothing else better to do. They don't have jobs. So they come out, they drive the neighborhood. If they see cameras, if they see exterior lights, if they see community out and about, they're going to push off to the next one, and that's what we want. And then we want them to go to the next neighborhood and run into the same problem. Emergency services, when we respond, specifically at night, there are some things that are very frustrating when we're trying to get to an emergency. And one is the numbers on the exterior of the home not being illuminated. That is crucial in an emergency situation. So make sure your numbers are, I believe by code, they have to be 4 inches. They have to have some kind of reflective tape on them, or the numbers themselves are reflective. And now they have illuminated numbers too. We specifically will look for those numbers above your garage door, horizontal on your garage, or vertical on your garage door between the posts, or by your front door. So just some things to think about. If you don't have illumination, by your numbers, man, I'm telling you, seconds matter. I've seen it far too often in 20 years. Seconds matter. I already spoke about the entry point, the number one entry point on a burglary. And I'll tell you this, folks, 'tis the season for crime right now. I hate that, but it's always around the holidays. We're going to see an uptick in burglaries. We're going to see an uptick in car larcenies and burglary or stealing and breaking into vehicles. People will go out and they will shop, and inevitably they will leave the Christmas presents for the kiddos or the husband or the wife in the vehicle. It happens every year. It'll happen again. Just don't fall victim to it. I'm telling you right here, just stick this in your mind. You'll get this and you'll be able to read it and pass it throughout your community. Let's not be victims of that. Let's remove those items. Let's make sure our lights are on. Let's have cameras on. The shrubs around your house, it's crucial to have those shrub cut back. And so let's not give them a place to hide, because I'm telling you, they're going to hide. Increased security and cameras, we talked about that. Ring is fantastic. We can download that ring when we have a crime occur. And create a checklist. Create a checklist. You can even laminate this like I did and just put it up on your refrigerator. Everyone in the house now has a checklist of things we do before we go to bed. There's some numbers down at the bottom. Once you get it, obviously 911, if we have an emergency, let's call 911. But I also have the non-emergency number for dispatch, and then I have my unit's number for any additional further questions or crime prevention. So I got about a minute and a half. I hope I covered, I know I was kind of rambling, but I hope I covered enough for everyone to kind of stock some things away in the back of your brain, talk to your friends, create this awesome community that they have. Does anybody have any last questions? I have about a minute, a little over a minute. Community is everything, guys. You know who's driving in your neighborhoods. Call us, bother us, annoy us. I'm telling you, we don't care. If you get an officer that comes out, he or she just has a bad day. Trust me, they're human. They may have been on a call prior to that was just rough. Don't take it to heart. Call me, complain to me, yell at me. I'm fine with it. I can take it. I'll go talk to them. I'll find out what's going on. But call us, annoy us. If you see a car, if you see a person walking, call us. They may not be doing anything wrong. That's okay. We'll let them go down the road. But maybe they are, and we want to know who they are. And we'll prevent that crime by just making simple contact with them. I'll tell you this statistic real quick. We put 10 officers on the road every single day. That's 1 officer for every 10,000 people. And that's a pretty good number. But you got to realize that 1 officer for every 10,000 people runs your district in your neighborhood and all the other neighborhoods in the shopping center up off Chipman and Pryor. So that's a pretty big area for one officer to run. So just be patient. We have a pretty good response time. Our response time has always been 3 minutes or less. So we're honored to serve this community. We're proud of it. We love running into community members like yourselves that pull us over and give us a thumbs up, wave at us, ask us some questions. Our district officers enjoy that. So I'd encourage you to get to know them. Yes, ma'am. Do we have a neighborhood watch program? Well, you guys can develop your own neighborhood watch program. What we do have, which I think is really cool, we have a Citizens Police Academy. You should come. It's a lot of fun. It's 3 months. It's 1 night a week. I believe it's Wednesdays. We run it. You'll get introduced to every resource that the Lee Summit Police Department has. And at the end of it, we put you through training. We put you through scenario-based training. It's actually a lot of fun. We'll see how you do. So you can go to our website, you can go to our Facebook page and check that out. I think we're going to start that in March. Citizens Police Academy. Hey, thank you guys so much for having me. I really enjoyed it. It means a lot to me when the community asks us to come out, so thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie. Of course, he came here and his wife had to pick up his son from soccer tonight. Thank you for that. Lee Summit is one of 1,000 communities in the United States that record all of their crime reports on LexisNexis, L-E-X-I-S, N-E-X-I-S. I get a weekly report on a 4-mile radius from the community center of all of the police reports. So when I see something pop up on Facebook, I can go and see if it was actually reported. LexisNexis Community Crime. It's a worldwide organization. Okay, welcome to our annual meeting. That's Ronnie Dumit's report. There was a question about Neighborhood Watch. We have had Neighborhood Watch before, and that would be something for the community chair to discuss. My pleasure to introduce our board. Myself as president, Paul Hoffman is currently serving as vice president and ARC chair. Paul, where are you? We have all of the board sitting in the back corner. By order of seniority, Steve Brammer, our treasurer, Neil Wilson, Green Space Chair, Stephanie Kratz, Recreation. Stephanie had the opportunity about 6 months ago to shift her responsibilities. It was Recreation and Pool. Rachel Doherty, Social Chair. Rachel is home with a couple of sick kiddos. Scott Kaler is the new Pool Chair. And then Aaron Gregory is our new Communications Chair just 2 months ago. Thank you, Aaron. Chuck Wainscott, Property Manager. Chris Timmons, our Community Coordinator, and Kathy Lemon, who one of her daughters is getting married this weekend, so Kathy isn't here. Aaron, I'm going to ask you to make a special presentation.
Thank you. Our officer already beat me to it, but I just wanted to make sure that on Veterans Day that we recognized all of our residents who are veterans, or if you are a family member, a parent, a grandparent of someone who has so bravely sacrificed for our country. He didn't ask you to, but I would ask you all to stand if you don't mind so we can recognize you. Let's thank all of our veterans and veteran families for their service on Veterans Day. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be the communications chair on the board. Really excited to dig in and just look for opportunities to improve our communications between residents and the board, and really just build more community among residents through communications. So I'm excited to look for opportunities to do that through our website, social media, signage and print materials and things that we leverage to promote our events and everything. So more to come on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Erin. So we've been doing this now for 28 years. It's down to a fine science. Those of you who have attended in the past know what the agenda is off by heart. We, for the first couple of years, had our directors stand and give verbal reports, which was pretty dang boring for those of you who have been through that. They appreciate the opportunity to write out the reports. They're very complete. Those who are in attendance tonight have the written report. Chris loaded everything online, so those who are watching us on YouTube can access, if they're adept at their computer, more adept than I am, can find the reports online. If you need more, it's all on post and budgeted plans for next year, and it's done as a committee, so it isn't done insularly. New ideas and energy are always welcome. Those who are here for the first time, just because we've been doing this for 28 years doesn't mean we can't improve. Please consider joining your committee of choice. Financial reports are as detailed as any community association I've ever seen. Last year's summary, next year budget, and cash reserve. We are going to hit the $1 million mark for a nonprofit. We're a pretty big community organization. Our cash reserve is in the range of $200,000 plus, conservatively run, all best practice. Capital improvement projections, we lay them out roughly 15 to 20 years, and those get reviewed. Do not assume that they're written in stone. We always shift as priorities of the community shift. But again, it's a best practice. Management, where do we get our insight and ideas? From you, from our legal and accounting and banking counsel. I'm proud to say that Joe Willerth, George Kapke, Jonathan Zare, the heir apparent, have been our community. They know their stuff. On the east side of the Missouri state line, Joe Willerth is a recognized expert for community association management. John and Nelson are our accountants, a local shop, general reading and travel, and we're proud members of the Community Associations Institute. We utilize them regular for courses for Chris and Chuck and board members. We've also utilized their services to double check and confirm that our analysis of both our reserves and our capital improvement budgets are appropriate. Next item, an acquisition that we're going to make thanks to the Roof family. We're going to be buying 21.61 acres of land, 10 acres of which is out of the floodplain, and I'll show you a map where that is. There will be a deed restriction on that property that will not permit residential or commercial construction. It will be a conservation land per the wishes of the Roof family. Only structures and uses supportive of the Winterset Community Association. Might be a presentation building of some sort, a small growing area. We don't know. That will be for you all to decide. I'm not assuming you all can see this. You may recognize the inside page of the pamphlet. So, new members automatically get one of these. It's a 4-page, one-fold. Last year, the Realtor team paid to reproduce this, and we sent it out to everybody. So hopefully you have your trail map and you keep it close to your bed for good nighttime reading. The property we're talking about is right here. John Roof, who was my partner along with Maureen on the Winterset Woods project, kept title to this property and acquired some from us at a time. And there was consideration. There's about 10 acres of high land up here abutting the walking trail that could be developed with a bridge over Cedar Creek. Maureen and her family have elected to make that available to us, and I'll show you a highlighted plan. If you know Winterset Summit, that's right here. Winterset Valley, the woods, and the main trail. This is beautiful geography and fits very well into our conservation ethic. This is the appraisal, the cover page of the appraisal report. Maureen is selling it to us for $62,000. It came in at appraisal for $260,000. Now, that $260,000 value today is a stretch because almost a $500,000 bridge would be required to get over Cedar Creek. But we're selling lots up into the $200,000 range right now. So I can stand here in front of you and say that Winterset is getting a gift from the Roof family. Review of the ash tree and emerald ash borer program. How many have ever heard of the emerald ash borer? Well, it's been a major debacle for us. Developers in St. Louis, Kansas City, Dalmas, and Lee Summit chose to plant ash trees as our street trees from about 1992 through to 2005 when Dr. Don Cannon, Don's not in good health. I don't expect to see him here this evening. Don, are you here this evening? Yeah, well, Don, did you put up your hand, sir? No, okay, sorry, pardon me. I got excited there for a second. Don stood in 2005 and kind of accosted me for not knowing what the hell are you planting ash trees for? Don't you know about the emerald ash borer? So I went home and quickly studied. The emerald ash borer is thought to have arrived in the United States and Canada, either in the port of Windsor, Ontario, or Detroit, Michigan, back in about 2000, 2001. And since the annual meeting in 2005, when Dr. Cannon alerted us of this reality, we were constantly watching its growth as it marched across North America. In about 2014, it got up to Smithville Lake. 2015-16, it was evident in Kansas City. In that time, Kansas City has removed 100% of their ash trees in their street right-of-ways. St. Louis is halfway through. We faced a dilemma. We don't own, speaking for the community association, the street right-of-way between the curb and your front property line. That's yours. You were gifted these trees, and in the memo that we send, they're your babies. But we appreciated the reality that it was going to be a significant scissoring of the fix unless the community got around it. So for about 3 years, we scratched our collective heads on the board and tried to figure out how to make it work. And through some pragmatic management, we put the program together to attack it as a community association, which basically, I'm going to say the cost to remove the trees was 1/3 what it would have been individually. Plus, we were able to make collective buys on the appropriate trees. We are no longer a monoculture. We have a mix of 9 or 10 deciduous trees that between Chuck and Neil, who is responsible for those decisions, they manage in our street tree program. This has been ridiculously successful as a community resource. One can see up here that we came in about 20% over budget, albeit that was over a 5 to 6 year time frame. Now what we're focused on is shrub honeysuckle. How many have heard of the shrub honeysuckle? So years ago, and there still are, landscape yards that sell shrub honeysuckle. They leaf out first in the year. They lose their leaves last in the year. They beat all our native vegetation. They have beautiful red berries this time of year. but they will eliminate 100% of all of our other Missouri native shrubs unless we act to get rid of them. Missouri Conservation Department has given our community association a $10,000 grant to attack this. Forest Relief, an organization out of St. Louis, have provided us 2 loads of native Missouri shrubs. If you've been by the community pool in the last probably 6 months, you have seen the stockpiling of our native Missouri shrubs. Chuck, how many dozen plants would you have ready to go in the ground? We have 160 native, a range of probably 10 species.
At least shrub and tree.
A range of 10 species to start planting during this winter season, as we look to control that shrub honeysuckle. Neil and Chuck are responsible for that program. So I mentioned Forest Relief. They provide native Missouri plants to nonprofits at 0 cost. It's a great deal. Missouri Conservation Department is all over this stuff. We are blessed as a state to have a first-class conservation department. Deep Roots is an organization that I'm the incoming chair for. Our mission is to plant more native plants. Collectively, you don't need to go anyplace else for anything you need to know green. Why are we concerned? It's been explained to me that the nutrition, the calories from those red berries that are on a honeysuckle are equivalent resource for birds who are migrating. You wouldn't run a marathon on Doritos and Coke. That's what we're asking our birds to do as they start their migration. And if not us, who? If Winterset doesn't attack this, who's gonna? So right now, the deal, the structure that loosely is in shape is 3 years, $10,000 grant per year from the Missouri Conservation Department. We will match that, we being the community association, and attacking the shrub honeysuckle. I know in my backyard, the Dahmers are back there, we share a backyard. This got out of control. This year we removed probably, I'm going to say almost 1/3 of an acre in my backyard of honeysuckle, some of which were 2 to 3 inch caliper. When it's less than 6 feet tall, it can be controlled through Roundup, which of course has its own challenges. The community association is becoming expert at this. Just some shots. The first are, pardon me? The Callery pear and Bradford pear, thank you. So the first blossoms that you see in the year are Callery and Bradford pear. Dumbass developer planted some Bradford pear on the, I'll paint a picture for you, between Cedar Creek Elementary and Winterset Summit. It's almost all Bradford pear and honeysuckle now. So Bradford pear is the same thing. They're invasive plants that destroy the ecosystem for our native waterfowl, deer, and other critters. And there's a whole collection. Burning bush also is on the bad list now. I'm going to spend just a moment on this because it's near to my heart. I took a walk at the Parkville Nature Center with the Deep Roots group yesterday afternoon, and the gentleman from Johnson County who knows this stuff was going around pulling out burning bush that was in the Parkville Nature area. The list is not limited to those 3. We have all sorts of other stuff, but those are the Callery pear, Bradford pear, the same family, and honeysuckle are 85% of our problem. And I'm sure Neil and Chuck would like to discuss getting committees and volunteer help to attack this. So these are some of the beautification efforts of the last year. You may have seen 2 folks working on the Kubota, prettifying everything. One thing that we collectively learned about native plantings is you don't just throw seed out. The right plant in the right place is part of the ethic. Again, Neil and Chuck are responsible for that. This little Kubota was a new acquisition last year. we didn't ask a question about how many people have walked the trails at least once this year. That's great, thank you. This little Komodo, thanks. that was a fast recovery for me. Has just been a wonder horse, handling our trails. This is pipe work on one of our new trails up in the valley, handling weeding in the butterfly garden. The structure of the bridge, we have KCP&L, now Effigy, to thank for donating high quality poles to us for the, I think we're up to 26 plus bridges throughout the community now. A tree shipment coming in. This is a load from Forest Relief out of St. Louis. We're experimenting, this is a playground up in Winterset Woods. This is rubberized mulch. It's the first time we're experimenting with rubberized mulch. Pool repair at the family garden. And Charlotte and Libby with a Girl Scout project putting in a dog station. This is the 6th dog station that we have. We have a family who wishes to remain anonymous, paid for 5 dog stations. So we have 6 in the community now. Neil and Chuck are planning to add 3 more. Chuck is holding up the post hole digger here. I have photos of Libby and Charlotte actually doing the post hole digging. Chuck's just being his supportive self. I'm not sure who took these photos, but this is a heron up in the Winterset Valley Lake that got entwined in fishing line. I would guess that it's from Longview Lake, where there's many more fishermen than we have, hanging upside down in obvious stress, being captured here. The Missouri Conservation Department was called, came out, was able to remove the tree. I don't have any photographs of how the heck they got it out of the tree. Took it back to the Conservation Department at Swope Park, Animal Rescue, and this is a video of them setting free. Austin, can you trigger that, please? This has a little bit of comedy to it. So he or she didn't want to leave the cage.
Also, when she brought it back, she said that it's not likely, normally not likely that the bird is able to be saved, that they were able to bring it, nurse it back to health and bring it out back out to us.
Well, obviously it's a special heron. It's a Winterset heron. How did they get it out of the tree, Chuck?
I went over there and cut it down.
Cut the tree down?
No, the bird. No, the mowing company told me and called me, and so I came out and was able to cut it down with a pole saw, and then the bird dropped to the ground. I asked the conservation department to come out. They didn't have time, but they said just let it drop to the ground, and then it was so lethargic that it didn't fight when I took the fishing line off. So
this gets better. Don't be worried. He sits there for about 5 minutes. It'll fly past.
if you're impressed with the camera work, that's me. This is the Lewis Lake in the valley. So he's getting ready to go up on Lewis Drive and get run over.
And that's the end of the video. So Chuck runs around the trail, and the bird flies off. So it's a good story. Okay. Yeah. And then he's gone. Thank you, Chuck, for that. So the Missouri Conservation Department, we absolutely love working with them. The Discovery Center, which is kind of in that center zone, just to the south of Nelson Atkins Gallery. If you're looking for something entertaining to do, visit the Discovery Center. Those folks supplied, or I asked them to assist on the walking trail map. If you recall, the rear cover of that has our examples of native flora and fauna. Again, I can't speak highly enough of the Missouri Conservation Department. In development, we periodically put trail cameras out in the community. And I wanted to show you our rabbit and squirrel patrol officers. So this red fox is photographed probably 100 feet from the Dahmer's rear yard. And Doug, did you see a red fox? How many red fox have you seen in the last 5 years? Okay, good. So I saw my first red fox about a year ago, and I thought it was a big deal. But the Dahmers tell me I just haven't been watching closely enough.
I had one in my backyard and one in August.
Great. Well, I have never had as few rabbits as we got to enjoy in our plants this year. Similarly, squirrels. But this isn't the only critter control. Actually, sorry, I'm out of sequence there. Austin, can you fire that up? This is a night cam. If you can fire it up, it gets lighter as soon as the animal is triggered. Yeah. So he likes Chuck's bridges. And you can see that's 3 o'clock in the morning. He's an early riser. Back in July. Thank you. And then a coyote. This, again, is 100 feet from the Dahmer's backyard. And then one that I'm very proud of, a bobcat. Is Jim Turrentine here this evening? No, about, I'm going to say 10 years ago, Jim, maybe 15, Jim shared with us a video of a mother bobcat and 4 pups playing. This is what Winterset is all about. You can fire that up. This is a, sorry. Austin Zamar, Susie Zamar, youngest son, on technical control.
Dave, we should have had you do it since you're a millennial.
So this is a promotional video we put together for introducing Winterset Falls, but I thought it would be beneficial to illustrate the 5 falls that we have in Winterset and some of the highlights of our trails. So this is a cactus field, a Missouri glade. We have 4 of them that we've discovered. Vicki Kunda found one all by herself. Okay, and I'm sorry, the fault is mine. I should have gotten a password for the guest Wi-Fi tonight. I was too late asking that, so we've been relying on 2 hotspots, and this has a lot of load. So what you can do to see this is go to winterset6.com. The Community Association website is winterset5.com. Winterset 6 is utilized by the sales department, but we also have the community website on our masthead there. So you'll be able to see this and see what we're naming for Winterset Falls. Okay, apologize for that, my fault. It's typical that we update on local developments. I think if you drive through the intersection of View High Drive and 470, you've seen Paragon Star shaping up. They have some heavy cranes in there now. They're about to start concrete work to start building buildings. We do not know how successful they've been on their commercial efforts. I do know that the initial plan called for 16 turf-type lighted soccer fields, and right now they're planning on 10, which is still a good size, and potential for adding more in future years. It's a tough time for the commercial business because there's not a lot of people wanting new commercial space. The Longview commercial project, having said that, our company, very lucky, post-2008 to have been able to retain control and ownership of the 4 primary commercial buildings in New Longview. We office in the second story. And we're right now 100% leased, which is pinch me. There's a small office building of about 4,000 square feet, just about to go vertical immediately south of our buildings. And there's a proposed townhome project of about 60 upper scale townhomes to be built immediately south of the B&B Theater. View High and 3rd Street property acquisition. Gentleman by the name of John Bondon began a development about 10 years ago and sold about 18 acres to the gentleman who built the Millennium Apartments. Then the commercial downturn happened and John lost that property. It went into receivership about 6 months ago. A party that we were working with, because we wanted to acquire another 14 acres for kind of a Winterset garden project immediately to the west of where we're developing now, acquired it, and I checked in with them today and they've walked away from it. There's all sorts of wild and woolly stories about that property. So right now it's in transition. A couple that are of importance for those of us who live in Winterset Woods. The Chipman Road West End improvements, essentially from Winterset Woods, the 1-lane tunnel to View High, is slated to get done. The easement work has been accomplished. The city ran into a scheduling challenge because it was announced by MoDOT that they're going to drop the bridge over Chipman Road and replace it with a new bridge. Obviously, that would create difficulties if you had both ends of Chipman Road closed. So we're not privy to how that's being worked out, but both are in the cards. And it will be great once it's done in 2 to 5 years. That's about, in terms of our little corner of the world, that's the key new items. One of the things I could have illustrated with the Winterset Falls project is we currently have 20 lots that should begin construction within the next month, which is what I've been telling the realty department for about the last year now. Everything is slowed down. All material costs are higher. Scheduling is difficult. We're managing through that. We have probably another 50 lots or so, 45 to 50 lots, and then we will be finished Winterset unless we acquire more land to the west. So the change in declarant, what's that mean? So my official title on the Winterset Community Association is declarant. I'm declared as the board. And if those of you who have memorized your CC&Rs know that in law, I have complete authority. It is a huge unfair advantage when developers take advantage of that kind of structure. Essentially, I'm at the point where we have less than about 6% of our lots still remaining, as I mentioned, Winterset Falls. At that point, in law, I must turn it over to a governing board. As this is, this will occur sometime over the next 3 months. We may do it at the end of December. We may do it at the end of January. It's not going to make any change. You're not going to see any difference at all, except that I won't be standing here next year. The planning for this transition has been occurring over the last year. I will, a couple key points of Winterset, Lakewood, John Knox, Charleston Park, and Raintree. Those are the 5 largest communities in the market. All of them have been in receivership at least once, Lakewood twice. Only Winterset has allowed the developer to sail through without receivership, and I have you all to thank for that. That's one thing. Second thing, only Winterset has never had a special assessment. This is a big deal. That's what you get in Lakewood when the dam fails, or you have a tornado event and you lose a number of your marina slips. The biggest challenge to communities are dams. Charleston Park, Raintree, and Lakewood have all had to have special assessments because of dam failures. We have 4 dams within our environment, all properly constructed, most of which serve as detention so you don't have standing water behind them. We have the 2, what's called attention ponds, the one in Winterset Woods, where the Winterset Valley, which we call Lewis Lake, where the heron was, and then up in Winterset Woods, another beautiful construction. So it's my pleasure now. Did I skip through that declarant aspect too fast? Okay. It's now my pleasure to introduce the 2022 board. This is my last responsibility. Paul Hoffman has accepted the position as president. Paul has served as vice president for the last 3 years and has essentially run the meetings, which I've attended. Paul has run them. Steve Brammer has been our treasurer. Neil Wilson, Stephanie Kratz, Rachel Doherty, Scott Kaler, and Aaron Gregory, you've already been introduced to. John White, can I ask you to stand, please? Thank you, John. John is our new ARC chair. He has experience serving on another community, Nottingham, which is a respected first-class community over on the Johnson County side, and brings experience to ARC. We appreciate that. Thank you. These are all listed by years of service. At next year's meeting, you'll have the opportunity to elect adjustments to that board. It has been our policy and procedure in the 28 years that we've had a advisory board to grow the board through committee. So if you aspire to serve, it's a lot of fun. Literally, it's a lot of fun. We have some good characters, and no one on our board has the time to serve. Everybody's busy and at the top of their professional game. It's one of the things I'm going to miss the most. But we encourage you to sign up and participate however you can, whenever you can, on any of our community groups. It is my pleasure. Chuck, stand please. So Chuck has been property manager today. He's going to be our community manager. So we're very pleased. We have been very, very fortunate. Those of you who have attended in the past remember Harry Stone, who was taken untimely from us. Chuck has filled Harry's boots very well, and we're very proud to be able to work with you. Chris Timmons, Kathy Lemon again. It has been my practice to stand up here and beat your target every year whenever we've had a our attendance rises whenever we have that. We're pretty much in steady state now. Our annual dues, one would think, I'd have it off the top of my head. Who knows what the annual dues are? 8? Louder. That's not counting trash. So what's the gross? 840. 840, thanks. So $840, you have weekly service for trash, lawn care, and recycling. If you were to buy in the project on Pryor Road, thank you. On Pryor Road, it's $900. So you get to pay $20 more for no walking trails. One, don't blink or you'll miss it swimming pool, and you got to pay more for trash. So we think competitively we're in a good position. Kathy Lemon, every 3 years, has the assignment to compare community association fees and services in the metro area. We share that with those who give us that information. So just understanding where we sit collectively. Transition has been planned for the past year. Essentially, and those who have attended in the past know I say this every year, not once in the last 28 years have I overruled this advisory board, censored them, and likewise, not once have they approached me to do that. It's been as professionally run as any board I've ever had the opportunity to serve on. I'm proud and pleased to be able to serve with this group. So, best practice. I say this to give you comfort in this transition. Okay. My number one goal was to get you out of here by 8:30. I'm on time. How are we doing on questions and answers? Anything I've missed? Any concerns? We're going to pass a microphone over. And you need it to put it right at your chin.
Okay, can you hear me?
Right at your chin.
At my chin?
Yep, touch your chin. Okay.
It's kind of hard. My mask is a little bit big.
Sure.
I was just wondering, do you guys, we've gotten to be a pretty big company. Is there any independent audits that go on? Every company I've ever worked for has had independent audits just to make sure that everything is good.
Yeah, it's not out of the question. It's something to be reviewed. With the amount of detail that you have in these spreadsheets, it is so absolutely complete, and you can see year to year to year, that I don't believe it would be a found expense in the sense that it's unnecessary, but it's something to take up with the board. The question was, are audits necessary?
Have we given any thought to putting cameras at the entrances?
Yeah, and we discussed this with Officer Dumit. The dilemma with cameras is, and we have studied through CAI, I specifically put their logo up there, and gone through their liabilities, talked with Joe Willerth and Jonathan Zare about the downside of cameras. If the community association post cameras tells you we have cameras, we are now liable for watching those cameras, making sure we act when something happens. We would much rather have you responsible, locking your vehicles, locking your house, putting your lights on, responding quickly. The liability for the community association is too great to do that. We've had discussion in the pool committee also. There are moms and dads who are concerned about somebody sitting in an office someplace watching their kids. We have had occasions where, young fellows whose brains are not fully developed yet, are playing at the pools and doing something that they shouldn't do. We've talked about posting an emergency number. Always call 911. Chuck's number is always on him. That's a call to make if we don't want an altercation between a mom and some teenage boys or somebody else. Call the community association.
Yeah, I guess two more. I was thinking more of just cameras at the entrance, that we could share with the police department if we had an incident in any one of the areas?
I have personal experience doing that. At our model home at the corner of Mirror and louder? At Mirror and Mackenzie, when we were in that home, we spent about $3,000 putting cameras up on that outside, because it was basically, that was the entrance on Mackenzie. We had our little dump truck stolen, and we have the photo of that truck leaving the community, but we don't have the driver. Without that, we're wasting our money. And if we have 11 entries into Winterset, it's a dilemma, because each entry is roughly $150,000 of built architecture planting that has to be maintained. That's an expense that falls under Neil's committee. We haven't seen there is no compelling evidence that cameras at our entries will have any effect other than a negative effect, raising expectations without benefit.
I guess one of my other ones too is we have, and I'm specifically referencing the intersection I'm familiar with, is the intersection of Muir and Mackenzie. And that's the one you just mentioned. That, I would love to see a stop sign there, and it's not for me because I don't go that way. I go up Roosevelt and go out that way. But I have seen numerous instances when I've been out walking or bike riding of people speeding down Mackenzie, coming up from the new development or going down to it and being over the speed limit, but also there's kids that go down Mirror that don't use a stoplight.
You raise a
Don't
good
use a
point.
stop sign.
Right now, there's unnecessary load going through that particular intersection. Ultimately, we're going to punch through to View High, and that situation will evaporate. There are stop signs there, but we should have put them on Mackenzie to calm traffic.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking before we stop.
Yes, sir.
But at least slow down. You might not stop.
So one other point. Michael Park is the traffic engineer that the city of Lee Summit has had for a number of years. He was behind our bike-friendly status. And a great guy. He is now the director of public works for the city. He would agree to that. He's the guy to call. We do not own the streets. I have no leverage in that area. You all have the leverage if you see something wrong with our street design. Thanks. Next.
How many islands do we have?
Highlands? Oh, islands. Chuck? 100 plus.
And how do the two girls take care of 100+ islands?
Are you sexist? They do very well. We had to play catch up this year. So to the point about traffic control, islands are traffic calming features. If you want to look at classic traffic calming, drive down Winter Park Boulevard by the community center, and you'll see we play with both vertical and horizontal curve and spacing islands. And then go through the project to our west, through their main street, which is right across from Peel. Bridlewood, and it's a speedway. And they've had to put in traffic bumps. We much rather put in islands. And there is an expense in the maintenance, but we've got it covered comfortably at the $800 level. So are you complimenting the work the young ladies did? The answer is yes.
I'm glad you hired the girls. They're trying hard, but our island's in the middle and gets run over by every truck that comes through because it's so small.
Where do you live?
On Springwater.
Okay, so that's like about phase 8. We need is a bigger tree or a couple big honking rocks. And that's what I'm not being facetious, that's what we've done for traffic control. You get a couple 2-foot boulders, trucks stop driving over the island. So, Neil, that's to you. Any other questions? Sorry. No, okay, really holler.
You mentioned the honeysuckle as being an invasive species and some other things. Eastern red cedar is also the same way, and I'm kind of curious, are we doing anything
So I live between our yard and a creek, and I'm doing it. And Neil's doing it. And that saves money for the community association. We can see where this is better to do as a community association. We've talked, I'm going off the limb here because I've got no authority now, but hiring a common chipper, putting together volunteer groups to attack it. This is a lot simpler when you got 4 or 5 guys working on a crew, cutting, applying Torgon to kill the root, cutting it up, throwing it in. Honeysuckle does not grow through chips. So chipping it and dispersing it is great. This will be something that will be a topic of conversation. Helen?
This really isn't a question, but I'm going to pass on a compliment I've shared with David earlier. Today I was at a meeting and there was a woman who just moved into Lee Summit and she asked me where I lived. And
Helen, I've got to ask you to put the mic right there.
She said she lived in Winterset. I said I lived in Winterset, and she goes, "Oh, that is the most beautiful community." And I said, "Thank you very much." Well, in between us was a woman from Lakewood. She said, "You guys have the best property manager. You all have kept up." You can blush at any point. You all have kept up your neighborhood, and it looks great. And in Lakewood, we don't have that. So I thought, perfect chance tonight, and I shared that with David, and he said, if you want to say that to the group, you can. So I'm saying that. We are very lucky. Go to Lakewood and teach them how to do it.
Well, once Helen told me that, I immediately went to the rest of the board and said, I got to change the slide. We got to make Chuck community manager now. So thank you, Helen. Yeah, it's a very well-oiled machine. I couldn't be more proud. Yes, sir.
Have we checked on what it would cost to add more streetlights throughout the community?
That's the question is streetlights. We know specifically on Peel between Lewis and Muir, there's a dark spot there. It comes up regularly. The city owns the streetlights. We have zero say on that. So you want more streetlights? Get together with your neighbors. Start calling Michael Park every week. Rena.
Just something about dogs. A lot of dogs of late have been out loose for whatever reason. Even today, I think there was a few of them running around, and I just want to bring that maybe an email reminder. Owners need to.
Yeah, good point. So loose dogs.
Not everyone.
As a rule, and this is again, I have no authority going forward, but rather than send out blanket emails saying everybody watch your dogs, we would much rather discover who is the owner of that dog and be strategic in the ask. Chuck and the board have that authority to talk. The city of Lee Summit have regulations about loose dogs. I'm sensitive whenever we have an issue, sending out to everybody when there's 10 or 20. It's debilitating. We don't need to talk about Facebook. I'm sure everybody has had occasion to open up a Facebook page. So I'm a Facebook voyeur. I will go into it and stay informed, and every once in a while Susie will show me something, and then I sit there and fume. And I worry about our board, who give their heart and soul, and it's so easy for somebody to cause a consternation by just firing off a quick, unthinking aspect. It's one thing I've talked to Erin Gregory and have asked her to consider FAQs, frequently asked questions, so that we don't respond to somebody unknowing on Facebook, other than saying, that's a good question, go to the FAQs at winterset5.com and you'll see we've already answered that. That's a manner in which everybody can be informed, and not just that 10% who seem to be respectful or on Facebook regularly. Because it's not consistent communications. As Paul noted in the opening warm-up, there's a whole compendium. Some of us read our postcards. Some of us don't check our mail more than once every 2 weeks. Some of us are on Facebook every day. I'm an email guy. I am on my email every 30 minutes. I don't ever answer my phone. You want to phone me? Good luck. My family is laughing at that because it's absolutely true. Send me an email. We each have a different communication style, and what Aaron's going to try and do is put together the program so that all of you can feel as informed as possible and not out of sorts because you missed something. Which are you referring to? Facebook? Your dilemma is it's a small community. We have over 4,000 people living here, and the best I can tell, of that 4,000, we may have 400 or so who are on it maybe once every couple of days. So what we do is we do Facebook, we do email, we do postcard for this, and then we've got it covered. One would say, you know, in the old days, everybody checked their mail regularly. Well, if you are like us, we sometimes skip 2 weeks before we check our mail. We're going to miss something. So that's the magic that we're trying to discover. Sure. Yeah, you're absolutely right, and there's lots of examples of that. Thank you. Thanks, Chuck.
This isn't really, all I want is a show of hands. Do you or are you able to hear the emergency sirens in your house and at your yard? If you cannot hear them, will you please raise your hand?
So I think the closest emergency pole is at View High and 109th.
And there's one horn on it, and it's pointed towards the church complex.
It actually rotates.
Yeah, okay, I can't hear it, and
Yeah.
so I'm trying to see. I know I'm hearing impaired, but I can't hear it inside the house. So, and I can't hear it outside the house either.
So we have approximately 150 people here. How many cannot hear the emergency? 11 o'clock on
Wednesdays or
Wednesdays. So I'm
so
seeing
most people can hear it.
Yeah, but I'm
Perfect.
seeing,
Okay, thanks.
I'm seeing about 20 that can't. So that's a conversation with Michael Park at the city. Longview and Forest Park? Longview and Forest Park. Okay, Longview and Forest Park, that's the south end. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, isn't it great being old school? So if you're not into Facebook, get a weather radio. Chuck?
Hey, I just want to take a minute. This is Dave's last meeting, and he's kind of passing the baton on to the board to say thank you for all you've done. However many years, is it 25 or 30 years for you to be?
This is 32.
32 at the helm. And you look at our subdivision and all the things that you've developed. I was his next door neighbor, just a wonderful guy.
You're not getting teary on me, are you?
No. I have a hard time speaking in front of large crowds. But Dave flew in one time to look at a piece of property for an aunt, if I'm not mistaken. And he took a detour off of 50 Highway and drove down, happened to see a sign that was advertising Winterset, and kind of took a chance.
I'm right back at you. That we have 150 people here this evening. Where if you were at a Raintree annual meeting or a Lakewood annual meeting, you'd have maybe 50. 25 would be opposed to whatever the other 25 was in favor. So you've made it very, very easy for me. Thanks.
So this is a apropos time, I think.
Yes.
I don't think Dave knows. I just talked to Susie, and he's not aware of this, but there's a plan in the making to designate a special area for you within the Winterset community to honor you.
Not that small island by Springwater.
So the desire is to honor you for who you are and what you've done in making Winterset what it is today, just like Doug had said. And so who better to honor in Winterset than Dave for all that he's done. And they've already given you a round of applause, but it probably is worth another one.
So thank you. I'm an emotional sucker. I cry at hockey games. Thank you very much for that. Folks at home, you're not only missing great cookies, but you're going to miss the opportunity for our draw, which I think is.
Yeah, Chris, could you come?
Thank you.
And Paul, would you mind coming? Get you off that cell phone or that game you're playing. Come on over.
So Austin's just given us a number. We have 53 folks at home turning in on YouTube. Incidentally, it was my decision rather than going Zoom, and I'm a Zoom advocate. I love it now. We chose to go YouTube, which is just and you're on. No passwords or anything else. So thank you.
So they're in order. So I just wanted to also say I've been here. This will be my 10th year coming up, and it just has flown by. It is a pleasure to work here and to serve here. It just fit who I was, and I'm very thankful for it. And I don't do everything right, so feel free to call me and let me know if you see something out of place or something I've forgotten or something that I promised. But I would like to thank the board. They're really not as shy as they act like. They're an exceptional board, and this is a unique neighborhood that I've got the privilege to help take care of. But I couldn't do it I couldn't have done the whole tree program without Chris and her ability to keep things in order and straight. So I'm thankful for Chris, and she's just a good helper, and she helps along the way and makes me better. And then, just the board, a lot of them have served over 20 years volunteering, and they care about the community, and you can tell that by the way they've served and the length of time they've served. So anytime you can, look up who is on the board and feel free to email them and just let them know how thankful you are and grateful for what they've done. So right now we're going to